Hello, everyone, and welcome again to yet another interview as expression with somebody who's great. I've just known him for a few weeks, but I just think that, I'm going to have a very long relationship with him. He's an author. He's an author, and he's written a very quirky and a very interesting book called Conscious Cock. And please welcome Kristopher Lovestone. Hi,
Hello, I'm
Kristopher.
so happy to be here. So happy to have this opportunity to talk with you and share my message with the world and get to collaborate with you in this really holy, sacred work that we do of helping people to
Absolutely.
find their voice.
Absolutely. So, Christopher, let's start from where did this book come from? What happened? What's your journey?
It's If you had told me 5 years ago that I would have written this book, I would have told you you're crazy. I would have said, no way. No way am I doing that. I was going to be a medical doctor.
Oh, wow.
And I was tracking towards medical school, doing lots of work in hospitals and halfway houses and mental health facilities and sexual health facilities. But the entire system in North America I found to be corrupt. And I walked away from it all. There was so much profiteering and so much capitalism at the expense of people who were suffering that I said, I can't participate in this system. And literally, my wife and I bought a sailboat
Wow.
and sailed away. Like we literally sailed away. And we didn't know where we were going to end up.
Yeah.
And eventually, a few years later, we ended up in Costa Rica, where I'm now a permanent resident. And I was deep diving into this question of what's my unique gift to offer the world. And I'm trained as an educator, as a teacher, and in advanced human anatomy and physiology. And as I dove into investigating what are my real skill sets and passions, over the course of a few years of deprogramming that shame about sexuality and talking about intimate concepts openly, I came to realize that, I really have a skill set at helping people talk about things that they can't normally talk about in terms of relationship problems, intimacy, and sexual issues. So I started writing my thesis on relationships.
Okay.
I grew up in a really turbulent, abusive household, and I lived through 6 divorces when I was a child. And I always naturally became the mediator. I could see both sides of the argument, and I tried to help them come to resolution. And then as an adult, I determined that I wasn't going to ever get divorced, that I was going to have a successful relationship. So in my personal life as an adult, I was studying relationships from the time I was 18 years old or younger even.
Wow.
So over the last few years, I've compiled my thesis on relationship success strategies. And I've written that as a course originally for men, because I think men need a lot of help. There's a lot of help out there that I see in my world for women these days in sisterhood communities and women's circles and stuff like that. But there's a corresponding relative lack of support for men who want to rise into relationships of equality with women. So, but my course had too much material. So I thought, it's going to be better as a book format. Lower price point, $20 is much more accessible than paying for a whole course. And I can reach more people like that. So I reconfigured all the material into a book format, and I had to come up with an image, a mascot, archetype for positive masculinity that is sex positive. And that was hard to come up with. There aren't many images of that. We could say Shiva could be an image of sex positive masculinity, but many people in the United States and Canada don't know Shiva.
Yeah.
So the image of the rooster came to me, the cock. And it's a beautiful metaphor because in English, cock is a word for the penis also. So then, I came across a little statue of this meditating rooster. And I thought, that's it. A rooster, a cock who's meditating. He's bringing consciousness to his power. He's not just living his power unconsciously. And so my book was born. It's been an interesting journey.
Yeah. It has been interesting, apparently. And let's talk about, the first time that you self-published the book and you put it on Amazon. That's an interesting story.
Sure. Well, this one that I have in my hand here is the first edition that I self-published.
Hmm.
And even I couldn't even get this self-published on Amazon because what I call the censorship department, they would call it quality standards or community guidelines or something along those lines. They don't want to publish a certain realm of material. And I had a few diagrams in my book of sex positions, only 3. One was yab yum, one was missionary, and one was doggy style. Because in one chapter, I'm illustrating concepts about lasting longer in bed, and there's certain positions to try to learn if these positions make it easier or harder for a man to last longer in bed. It's just sex education. It's not pornography. But anyway, there were line drawings, just a pencil drawing of the outline. That's all,
Yeah.
and and a different cover, and they wouldn't publish it. I just got denied. Literally, my book got banned and I had to rewrite and resubmit as a new book. And I got my back up. I was so flustered and annoyed. And I went to Facebook and I ranted on Facebook about censorship being alive in the United States of America, where we have the amendment that says that, freedom of the press, like you can say anything you want to say, freedom to speak your words. And then I got 2 offers from publishers. They said, oh, this is interesting. After the Me Too hashtag movement had come around, publishers were finding that they were interested in publishing material about helping healthy masculinity to grow in the world.
It's needed.
Yeah. Oh my God. Absolutely. Absolutely. Men are starving for it and women are just like clamoring, come on, let's help them already. So one of them picked me up out of Vancouver, and the second edition, new and improved with a whole bunch of clarifications and edits and new diagrams, should be coming out in the next month or 2.
Great. That's amazing. So how are we going to be selling your book? Is it going to be sold offline or online? Where can people find the book?
The beautiful thing about being with a publisher is that they're handling all these things that I could never do myself because I don't have these skill sets. And it's going to be available at every major online book retailer and thousands of brick and mortar bookstores around the world. And it's coming out as an audiobook if you want to listen in your telephone, in your headset or in your car or when you're commuting, or it's coming out as an ebook if you want to read it on your phone or tablet or Kindle, and also as paperback that you can get. You want to get your hands on paper because I like paper. I like underlining.
I love paper.
Yeah, I love putting it on my shelf.
Absolutely. I collect books, and especially, that smell of new books. Oh my God, it's amazing. So,
yeah, totally.
So anyways, you know what, like you were saying something that there's a lot happening where women are concerned, but a lot is not happening where men are concerned. So
this is where I live. Yeah. In the Americas specifically.
Yeah. So like, what do you think is the reason? Because I think that's a global phenomenon. That's not centric to US or, to any place. I think it's like everywhere. And maybe that is one of the reasons why Me Too movement is a movement. Because, half of them don't even know if they're doing something wrong, or they what is consent. Most of them do not know, or they're like so confused.
Oh, there's so many cultural aspects to the answer to this question that, well, I'll speak from my culture of being raised in the United States, in New York specifically. There's such overwhelming programming pressure on our sensibilities and our sensitivities from modern media, from Hollywood, for example, from television, from our local church, from our parents, our caregivers, from our peers and friends and associates, to live life in a certain way that so many of us don't know that there's another way to operate. And I grew up in a very turbulent household, seeing these patterns, but becoming disgusted with those patterns. And I read science fiction. And science fiction freed my mind to think that maybe there could be a different way. Not that I knew what that way was, but it freed me to think out of the box. And most people don't get their mind freed to think out of the box. They just do what they're expected to do. They be how they're expected to be. So part of these cultural messages that are programmed into men from youth is this deep fear of, or we could say homophobia, fear of being labeled gay or homosexual. And that fear poisons men from being able to, in North America, in New York, from putting their arm around their best friend and just walking down the street with their arm around him. Like in places in Europe, like Italy, that's very common behavior between male friends. It's socially acceptable. But in the United States, it's based on puritanical culture, the founding of New England, there's hardly any touch. Right? You might shake hands at the beginning of a meeting or a hangout with a friend, shake hands when you leave, or perhaps if you know them better, a hug when you say hello and a hug to say goodbye. But there's no casual contact while you're in the middle of a conversation. There's definitely no like cuddling on the couch if you're hanging out next to each other watching a movie. So this enculturated homophobia really poisons men from sharing their feelings with each other, sharing touch with each other, or any form of compassionate intimacy with each other. So they literally don't have the toolkit because it's been shamed out of us, let me say, from such an early age. But women in our culture, it's so much more socially acceptable for them to put their arm around each other, or sit on the couch and have their feet touching each other while they're talking. Little things are so much more socially acceptable in the term of quote unquote sisterhood.
Yeah, that's true.
Fine. Women are sister. They touch. They like put makeup on each other. It's much more socially acceptable. So there's less homophobia around women being touchy and emotionally intimate with each other. So they develop those skills of emotional intimacy from childhood. But men don't develop those skills of emotional intimacy from childhood, or emotional intelligence, you could say.
That's so funny. At least because I'm from India. And when you have a baby boy, and if the baby boy is crying, most of the time, the parents or the family members or people around would say, hey, don't cry like a girl. Right. Girls cry. You're not supposed to cry. So I just think that, the guy must start thinking that, hey, that means if I cry, that means I'm weak. And if I'm weak, then I would not have a good standing in the society. And I think that just boils down to what you become as a man. And we really would have to really work around it. We really have to make those changes. And and in fact, even one more thing that you said when you were talking about that, women have a lot of groups where they can talk to each other. There are a lot of there's that's not happening where men are concerned. We might say there's a big boy club, but even that big boy club is the kind of club that you're talking about, where you're not touching each other. You're just talking business, or you're just making fun of someone, or it's not about expressing. It's not about saying that, hey, I need this, or hey, I'm lost.
Yeah. The example of let's say a 5-year-old girl versus a 5-year-old boy. Let's say on the playground playing, and they both fall down. The daughter probably has her parents come over and cuddle her and hold her and make her feel better. Allow her to cry for a moment. Experience the pain that she's feeling from the fall. Experience the emotions that come up from it, and reassure her and love her through that emotional, let's say, outburst or expression, to come back to a sense of balance. And then she goes and continues and plays on the playground.
Yeah.
But let's say the 5-year-old boy falls down and his dad comes over and says, toughen up, don't cry, just get back out there and try again. Or something like that. So he's trained to shut down his emotions rather than feel them. And that's perpetuated throughout childhood and adolescence into adulthood, this indoctrination into a culture of not feeling feelings, but stuffing them down, packing them down, and just going forward like a robot.
That's true.
So men are trained to be robots. And then women are like, where are you? I can't find you. I can't see you. Are you in there? Hello? Come on out. I want to feel you. And, there's a common relationship dynamic in heterosexual relationships that's so common that it's in sitcoms and rom-coms and from Hollywood, all these movies that where the woman will pick a fight, because she's just trying to get to feel the guy. She just wants to feel that he's actually there. But he's not. He's just a robot. He's completely emotionally shut down. So she'll like get nasty with him and use these horrible toxic behaviors and needle him and cut him with words to try to get him to respond at all. So learning to feel is some core deep work for men. Permission to feel.
Yeah.
And then there's so much to unpack.
Yeah.
That it is kind of like a pressure cooker there for some people, for some men, that they've actually, if they've never had a chance to feel in their lives before, never had permission or a safe space or support to do it. And we wonder why there's rampant violence, and we wonder why there's rampant depression and rampant addiction to alcohol or pick your drug or exercise or work, addiction to work. Why there's so many men that stonewall, that just shut down and won't engage with their partners. They won't talk, give you the cold shoulder, like, because they're not versed in feeling their feelings yet. But the path forward is through that and learning to feel your feelings and advocate for yourself and find what your true inner preferences are, what you really want to do and what you really don't want to do, and then being able to communicate that. So it's the path of self-empowerment, really.
Yeah.
And we all need to go through that path, but I specifically focus most of my work on men because I see men having such a steep hill to climb and being, the word is vilified, for not being able to express their emotions already. Like, you're a man, you should be able to. Well, they're being shamed for something they've never been helped to learn how to do. So it's quite a difficult situation, but there is a pathway forward. Learning to feel your feelings and express your preferences, learning the language tools to be able to communicate them to another person. And then the brilliant light at the end of the tunnel, or the jewels along the way rather, is that you begin having relationships of authenticity where people really know who you are. They know what you really stand for and how to treat you and how not to treat you. And then you start having relationships where you're in relationship with a real human being.
Yeah.
Rather than a mask, rather than a character that somebody's trying to play for your benefit or for everybody's expectations.
Okay. I know this question needs more time, but if there were 5 things that you would suggest right now, and all the men who are going to watch this video, what are those 5 things that they can at least start with to start unmasking themselves to their partners, their families, to people around?
Okay, the single most powerful self practice is writing in a journal, or you could say in a Word document or a Google document on your computer, because we live in 2020 now. But writing for yourself, to experience what comes up for you, to express your emotions on paper, we'll say, without editing it, without curating and choosing your words to try to make yourself come out looking good. What I mean is, if I'm mad, if I'm annoyed, pissed off, like, the single best self-practice that exists in the world is for me to sit down and write about how I feel pissed off, and to be judgmental and to be opinionated and vicious if I want to be vicious, to call people names and to swear and to use all of the feelings that I'm feeling inside without editing them to try to make myself come out looking good, right? So this is so much more powerful than talking to a friend about your problem, because talking to your friend, you don't want them to think bad of you as a person, so you don't say all the nasty, vile stuff that you're really feeling. You edit your words to make yourself come out looking better in their eyes. But on paper, or typing on your computer,
you can be
thing that no one else is ever going to read. You just let out all the stinky, repugnant, vile emotion that you're experiencing without editing it, for no other reason than just to give it voice. Later, things will change for you. Because you've allowed yourself to express those things, your energy shifts. But the benefit of this is that you don't hurt anyone's feelings.
Absolutely.
You damage any relationships. You don't burn bridges or cut anything that can't be untied, or cut any knots that could be untied. So you can call this a journaling process, but it also could be like if a specific person has hurt you or done something that really makes you angry, you can write as a letter to that person, telling them off, and never give them the letter. Never give it to them. But you use it as a way to move through your emotions so that you're not living in this state of being angry all the time and stuffing it down like a pressure cooker, trying to contain all that pressure. You're getting it out in a healthy way. And for some big experiences, some big abuse or trauma or real anger in your life, let's say somebody really betrays you. For something really big like that, it might take writing a letter to them every single day for weeks. But you never give it to them. It's just on your computer, but you're using it as a process of clarifying your feelings and getting your feelings out and moving through them. And perhaps at the end of a couple weeks of doing it, you've come to a place of feeling clarity in a nonviolent way. And from that place of being whole, having moved your emotions, then you're in an empowered place to actually go have a conversation with them or find a mediator to help you or something like that. So the number one tool is literally writing. So you have to be able to write. You have to, and there's a lot of people around me who where I live who are not very good at reading and writing. So, it is a privileged thing to be able to do this. And I do want to own that. A lot of people who are just scraping by, they don't have money every month. They don't have a pen and paper. They can't do this technique. So how do they handle their emotions? Anyway, just to own that. So what's another thing? Second thing is getting together with other people in a support group, in a circle format, men's circle or women's circle, around where I live, people will get together on the full moon on the beach, for example, or on a certain calendar of the year, like winter solstice or summer solstice, and maybe have a ritual and set some intentions and write some candles and make some prayers. And then anybody who has something that they want to share, or anybody who has something that they want feedback on, or who needs to ask for advice, can have the opportunity to have minutes or 10 minutes and share to the entire group. And inevitably what happens is that as you listen to the other people in the group share, what they share affects you. It makes you think of things. Oh, I never thought about that before. And what ends up happening is we build interconnectedness and we experience solidarity. We're not alone. That this is part of the human experience. We're all doing our best. We're all trying, and we all have our problems. And that inevitably helps you feel better about your problems, right? So you can get help on your problems directly, or you can voice your experience so that other people witness you and hear you, so you're not keeping it all bound up and repressed in a pressure cooker. But you also are getting beyond yourself and experiencing compassion and empathy for other people. And seeing, okay, I'm part of something bigger here. And that is grounding.
Absolutely. And sometimes you just feel that I'm not alone. There are other people as well.
Feeling alienated and depressed about your problems, it puts you in a feedback loop with all the other emotions that you're putting in the pressure cooker. You just keep putting the heat under that pressure cooker and building up more and more pressure. And it has to blow eventually.
True.
In some way it's going to blow, whether that's an emotional breakdown, whether that's trying to commit suicide, whether that's just drinking yourself into oblivion or hurting someone else or hurting yourself. Like, it's going to come out eventually somehow. So going to a men's circle or women's circle, or a support group of some kind, one of the other most powerful things that you can do. I know you asked for 5, but I'm talking a lot. So that's 2 really big nuggets. If you want 3 more, I can maybe think of them.
Actually, I think 2 would be good enough. And as it is, you're writing for Tickle.live, so I'm pretty sure that we'll have all of them, and we can keep on linking them.
That's true. Very true.
But I think even these 2 points are so difficult to really do. because I know a lot of my friends, and sometimes they do need help, but it takes so much to even go and find somebody, even those groups. Or
Uh-huh.
even to open the notebook, or even to open a Google document and then just like typing, it takes a lot. So in
Yeah.
fact, instead of five, I should have actually like just like been like, let's talk about one, the first thing
Yeah.
that these guys can do.
Yeah.
but this
Uh-huh.
is but this is great, and I really wish that we can have a few more such chats, because
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure a lot needs to be done and men need to be heard.
They need support in it also,
Yeah,
encouragement. And part of what you and I are doing right now
yeah,
is we are role modeling that it's okay to have these conversations.
absolutely,
It doesn't make me less of a man to be talking about my need to be able to feel my emotions and come
absolutely.
through them to a place of feeling healthy again.
And it's
Rather,
absolutely fine. Maybe the other person would not even get you, but that's not the thing. The thing is that you are able to express yourself. I think that's
yeah,
more important. Like
yeah, really, you're totally right. I always focus on the fact with my clients that I'm working with them to help them, him, her, individually. If I'm working with a man who's having a problem with his wife or girlfriend or partner, I'm not trying to work on fixing their relationship. I'm working on supporting this man in his
yeah,
own self-empowerment.
yeah,
Because I have no guarantees that their relationship is a healthy relationship for him to continue to invest in.
absolutely.
Self-empowerment, finding our own voice, and having the ability to get the words out of our mouth and speak them when we feel our heart beating fast, when our blood pressure is up, when we know that there's something important inside of us,
Yeah,
or when our body's telling us that there's something important inside of us that we need to communicate because we're getting
yeah,
a tight gut or our shoulders are tense. We get these messages, but actually being able to communicate that information to other people is so empowering in our lives, especially
absolutely.
when you bring it to the realm of sex, and maybe your sexual desires or fantasies. What
Yeah,
if you never bring them up to your beloved or your partner? What if you never tell them that you have a fantasy that you've always had and you'll never get it fulfilled ever? And then what if you die and you never even
or
said that you had a fantasy? That is
even, or even
sad.
it's actually even the other way around, that me, like, right now I am not ready to have sex. Right, I don't know, like, whether I'll be able to do this. What you expect out of me? Let's have a chat, let's talk about it. So it goes both ways, and I think women would start feeling comfortable because they'll at least get to know exactly what's going on in men's head, which right now I don't think so they do.
Right. Because everyone is wearing a mask.
Absolutely.
We're all hiding, not showing each other what's really going on inside of themselves. And then you're just playing a game.
Yeah,
And the rules of that game are rigged for your failure.
yeah, and we
Two
need to
people
change
with
those rules.
masks, you have no chance of actual success. In terms of, I define success as being actively engaged with each other and
Yeah,
interested in being engaged with each other and evolving with each other in life, because I want to change in my life. I want to continue to grow. I don't want to be the same person I am now
yeah,
for the rest of my life. I want to, I want to adapt and evolve. And I want my partner to
absolutely.
adapt and evolve. She's going to be
Absolutely.
different 5 years from now than she is now. And I want to embrace that change. I want her to embrace my change. Yeah.
It's amazing. I'm having so much fun. And I just
Yeah.
think, like, it's like the only constant is change. And we just have to accept change. And we also have to accept that, sometimes change needs to be communicated. You can't
Yes.
always expect the other person to get it somehow.
Oh, that's childish. Literally childish.
Yeah.
And so many people do it, especially, I'm making a generalization, especially men, although women do it also. And I talk about heterosexual relationships specifically, where it's so common that the man will expect the woman to know what he wants, as if she's expected to be psychic. Now, that's what children do. That's what children do with their parents. naturally, because that's the relationship of a child and a parent, is that
Yeah.
parent knows what the child needs and takes care of the child's needs. If you think about a 2-year-old, for example, who needs food, who needs a diaper change, who wet the bed, like the parent knows what needs to be done. So the child leans on the fact that the parent knows what to do and expects that the parent's going to take care of them. But when an adult is expecting that their partner should know what to do because we've lived together for 10 years, that literally is childish behavior. You're expecting your partner to be your parent and be psychic and know what you need. Adult behavior is communicating your needs in this moment, because they change. What I need today is different than what I need tomorrow. It's different than what I needed yesterday. So it's living in the moment, and then you communicate what you need now or want to your partner, and that's just giving them a good roadmap to navigate their world with you. That's all it is. It's just giving them navigational information.
Absolutely. So Kristopher, will your book have these nuggets to become a better person at expressing needs, understanding your own needs and desire?
Right. Okay, so my book is really kind of what I consider a 101 level college course in healthy sex-positive masculinity. Okay, now let me just clarify that. What I'm teaching is perspective shifts that are really the low-hanging fruit that yield the biggest, huge benefits to getting what you want in your life. For a man to get what he wants in his life, in his relationship, in his love life, really quickly. So first, there's perspective shifts, and I call it installing some upgrades, because we live in an IT world, and people get this. Oh yeah, I got to update my OS. I need a patch, and then I go into communication tools, right, and emotional communication technologies to actually have communication success in a relationship. And I teach simple stuff, simple step-by-step systems, because I'm good at systematizing things because I'm a programmer and I speak multiple languages. So I break things down into simple procedures. Just follow these steps and you'll have a good success. And they're easy to remember. They're not difficult to learn. You don't have to practice it 20 minutes a day for 10 years. Just read the chapter and try it. So I have worksheets and stuff like that. And then I go into understanding women, because a lot of men just don't understand how women work. They just don't literally understand them. So it's not difficult if someone gives you the roadmap, right? And I grew up with women. I understand women. I really have tons of women friends. And I'm able to communicate that to men because I am a man and I understand how to communicate to men also. So I'm a good educator. And then after that, then I start talking about actual anatomy and physiology of our genitals and the body, erogenous zones, literally nipples, yoni, etc., and the cock, because men don't have a good modern sex education, and a lot has come out in the last 10 to 20 years in research about anatomy and physiology, sexual anatomy and physiology, that most men have never even heard of, like the internal structure of the clitoris. I say that and people go, "What does that mean?" Or the urethral sponge. And they go, what the hell is the urethral sponge? Like, what the hell is the urethral sponge? You should know about that. That's the G-spot, but it's not actually a spot. And you need to know how it works if you want to actually have navigational intelligence to get where you want to go. If where you want to go is giving more pleasure to your partner, to your woman, and lasting longer in bed, which is the most common question I get from men. So I also talk about male sexual empowerment and how to do that naturally at home yourself. And then at the very, very end, which is what all the guys are looking for, is actual sex technique. How do I last longer in bed? How do I give her more orgasms? And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll teach you all that, but you need to learn all this stuff first.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's 90% this and 10% technique. So I'm trying to create a common denominator for sexually empowered, conscious, healthy masculinity in the world.
I'm pretty sure I'm like, after hearing you, I'm pretty sure it's a gift from one man to other men. And it is about, and now I get it that the book, the title Conscious Cock makes so much sense, because we all have to be conscious and then our cock.
And there's the aspect of the rooster where the rooster is beautiful.
Absolutely.
And women love men who exude confidence and who are beautiful, who trim their nails, cut their hair, take care of their appearance and their bodies. They're healthy, right? They exercise. Women love men who are beautiful and confident.
Yeah.
It's a positive aspect of masculinity. They don't want a man that they have to take care of like a child. Oh, it's time to cut your fingernails. When was the last time you actually scrubbed with a washcloth in the shower and washed all of you? Did you actually wash your feet? When was the last time you flossed your teeth? Like, there's so many little things. Like, women do not want to be a mother to their man. They want a man
Who
who is a
wants?
full
I
man,
don't. Yeah.
taking care of his body, his temple in this life, right? And then has a full self and a beautiful temple to share with her.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
then she
about
can.
partnership. It's about partnership. And it's about, like two human beings, they have to respect each other. They have to respect themselves so that they can respect each other, actually. But thank you so much, Christopher. It was like so much fun. Unfortunately, we have actually talked for like more, like I don't want to finish this discussion.
Understood.
So,
Yep, that's
so,
great.
so if it is okay, we should have one more and we should talk about different aspects of men. How does
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, this is all great. Let me just close then by saying that anybody who is interested in my book can go to my website, consciouscock.com. And if you would like some of my tools and techniques for improving your relationship, just go to the downloads page. There's probably going on 10 free downloads that I have there. Just put in your email address and I'll deliver you either a worksheet that you can fill out to learn a communication tool or a sexual empowerment technique really fast, or audio download of a workshop that I've done if you want to listen to it, like boundaries and consent, self-empowerment, conscious relationship tools. So just go to consciouscock.com and check out the downloads page. And if you're interested in my book, you can click on the book there and get added to the list of people who want to get it as soon as it comes out.
Yeah, and if you do not remember any of it, then you can just contact tickle.life and we will take care of it.
Great. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so
Absolutely
much.
a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye.